I'll be there tomorrow. Love me?
Mm-hmm.
Poco?
What's that?
Little.
Mucho.
The horror film enthusiasts among us often speak of a Lewton style of filmmaking that redefined the genre, however briefly, during the early to middle 1940s at RKO Radio Pictures. The allusion to producer Val Lewton is significant in its recognition of the poetic subtlety which he had brought to bear on such motion pictures as Cat People, I Walked with a Zombie, and The Leopard Man. Val Lewton's grasp of artistry, of course, was such that he had the good gumption to surround himself with writers and directors capable of bringing his visionary fantasies to practical fruition. Lewton launched careers in doing so, and many of his discoveries would outlive Lewton's own brief span of prominence. Like his colleague at RKO Radio Pictures, Orson Welles, Lewton possessed the greater gift of bringing out the brilliance in those whom he chose to realize his ideas. Such an artist, indelibly associated with Lewton, is Jacques Tourneur.
Vous jouez une scène entre un jeune homme et une jeune femme qui se parlent. Jouez-la normalement, avec une lumière normale. Ensuite, mettez ce jeune homme et cette jeune femme devant une fenêtre pour qu'ils soient en silhouette. Ils jouent la même scène, elle a deux fois plus de qualité. L'éclairage est extrêmement important.
His contributions to the fabled Lewton style are immense, starting with Cat People in 1942. But Tourneur persisted beyond that stretch of collaborative brilliance to become, on his own terms, one of the defining directors of the film noir, or dark film, idiom. A recognized classic of the noir canon is Tourneur's Out of the Past from 1947.
I need your help.
Like old times.
I always liked you.
You liked me because you could use me. You could use me because I was smart. I'm not smart anymore. I run a gas station. I like the view.
The artist persisted in that direction into the 1950s, often perceived as a period of decline for the first generation of film noir, and delivered such defining statements as Nightfall and Night of the Demon as late as 1956-1957. This is Mike Price speaking. I have covered Jacques Tourneur extensively, often in partnership with the late film historian George Turner, in our encyclopedic series of Forgotten Horrors books, and in research for the American Film Institute and the American Society of Cinematographers. Although Jacques Tourneur is seldom discussed outside the emphatic context of Val Lewton, the French-born director is a phenomenon in himself, versatile and inventive, and as able a hand at frontier dramas and war front pictures and dark humor as he was at the cross-pollination of noir and supernatural horror.
Say, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
It is Tourneur's film noir legacy that we will consider in this installment of Cinema Force, with a few relevant digressions. Born in 1904 in Paris, the son of filmmaker Maurice Tourneur, Jacques Tourneur came naturally to the profession as he accompanied his father to America on assignment for the 1925 adaptation of The Mysterious Island. The family's return to France found Jacques working as a crowd extra in silent pictures, then as a script clerk, keeping track of a film's progress in consistency with the scenario. Estranged from his father by an affair with Maurice's mistress, the actress Marguerite Viardot, Jacques resettled in America with Miss Viardot. They married in 1934, the milestone coinciding with his first Hollywood contract. Here, as backup director on the MGM production of A Tale of Two Cities, Tourneur met Val Lewton. The artist would develop a kinship after Tourneur's position at MGM ended in 1941. Jacques had weighed in as a director in 1931 on the French production of All That Is Not Worth Love. He made his American feature debut as director of 1939's They All Come Out.
All right. Get in the money vault. Cash and good bonds.
Lewton's production of Cat People was distinguished by Tourneur's use of dreamlike pacing and shadow-laden lighting, the better to leave menacing vistas to the imagination. The technique inspired widespread imitation as Cat People transcended its B-movie origins to challenge the popularity of Universal Pictures' more conventionally conceived horror films. As Lewton's prominence faded, Tourneur became ever more a top-of-the-line director at RKO, directing the likes of Out of the Past and Berlin Express. The 1950s found him as a free agent director with a variety of genre film assignments ranging from Wichita, Anne of the Indies, and The Flame and the Arrow.
Oh, Rick, if anyone moves, I'll put this apple in your mouth for the fancy-dressed pig that you are.
His handling of Nightfall in particular demonstrated that film noir is more an attitude than a genre. Driven by the concept of extraordinary perils afflicting an ordinary, everyman-type protagonist, Tourneur recalled his formative days with Val Lewton in Night of the Demon, depicting a cryptic supernatural curse in suggestive terms for the most part. His final big-screen assignments during 1963 at American International Pictures would include an exercise in gallows humor, the comedy of terrors, and an adventure fantasy, War Gods of the Deep.
Jill, I've just come up from the beach and somebody's in there.
Where are you? I want to talk to you.
Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Tourneur retrenched then in network television, his fallback territory all along since the 1950s. He retired to France in 1966 and died there in 1977. A representative early film for Tourneur, They All Come Out, is the MGM crime drama, an original scenario by John Higgins, grounded in the documentary-like manner that characterizes many examples of film noir. The premise is the telling of case histories from the prison system, centering upon two likely candidates for rehabilitation. Tourneur's moody handling works especially well with Rita Johnson and Tom Neal. She as a career criminal with a sympathetic streak, and he as a self-pitying born loser with a crippling injury, whom she enlists in a bank robbery plot.
Listen, I used to be dumb, too. I lived at home. The old man got drunk every Saturday night and beat Mom up until I got sick of it. I got a job in a store on my feet all day. The pay was peanuts and a lot of guff from the customers. Then I worked in a beauty shop. $20 a week. I met nobody but small-timers. So I got wise. Started to have good times, travel, plenty of clothes. No more pikers for me. No more being kicked around.
You don't have to convince me. All I want's a break.
All right. Maybe you'll get it. Come on.
The heist goes awry, but they prove receptive to rehabilitation. The darkness of prevailing suspense arises with the predictable temptations to resume a life of crime.
Are you Joe Cameron? Yeah. Reno sent me.
Oh, he did, eh? Well, I'm all through with that stuff, and Reno, too. Tell him that.
What'd you do with his dough?
I didn't touch it, see? Never went near it.
Cinematographer Clyde DeVena gets the shadow play right, and David Snell's foreboding music is right for the ominous situation.
You've seen something of the federal prison system. We help these men all we can while they're inside, because we know that someday they all come out. Thank you.
Start your motor.
Turner's identification with the Nick Carter franchise begins with this star vehicle for Walter Pidgeon's portrayal of grim determination.
You see, I asked for Nick Carter.
You've got Nick Carter.
Upstaged throughout by the comic relief presence of Donald Meek as an amateur detective.
The power of thought is the magic of the mind.
A pilot misdirects his own airplane in order to allow the theft of plans for a revolutionary flight system. Pidgeon's Nick Carter, a passenger along with the inventor, Henry Hull, foils the racketeers, and a stewardess, Rita Johnson, takes command of the plane.
Good old mountains. They ducked their heads just in time.
Good girl, you kept your head up. Now what, can you fly us in? Say, where's Keller?
Not me. I do all my flying on paper.
Carter impersonates a factory official. An amusing annoyance played by Meek insists upon helping Carter.
Do you suppose that we as humans are also victims of a gigantic hoax? That we labor in vain and nature takes away our running in hand?
The menacing set piece involves a disastrous test flight that proves fatal. The inventor is found strangled, posed to resemble a suicide. The company physician, Stanley Ridges, proves to be in cahoots with the gangsters, kidnapping the helpful stewardess to obtain leverage over Carter's investigation. The New York Times disdained Nick Carter's worth as a thriller, but praised Meek's performance as a mousy little goof who fancies himself a private eye.
Look at him, the living example of the philosophy of futility.
A 1940 sequel, Phantom Raiders, carried on with virtually the same formula. Turner's subliminal grasp of comedy seems to have worked merely by allowing Donald Meek to do what came naturally to him, living up to his surname to humorous effect.
Ouch! Ow! Hey, ow!
Now, if I'm wrong, I'll...
Ouch!
The director would resort again to this passively comical approach in 1963 on The Comedy of Terrors, not by directing the show for hilarious effect, but rather by allowing Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, and Boris Karloff to utilize their underused natural gifts as humorists.
Well, I'm going out and drink myself into a state of stupefaction.
He's still fighting me hard. I goes into me crouch. And the first thing I know...
9, 10.
Doctors Don't Tell from Republic Pictures provided Jacques Tourneur with the right elements for an exercise in horrific suspense, but a flaccid and soap operatic screenplay by Theodore Reeves and Isabel Dawn reduces the effort to a denial of Turner's accomplishments at generating suspense. Tourneur would characterize Doctors Don't Tell as his worst picture.
But Mahoney was a phony and he lost his stand at Coney, leaving Billy with a nickel and a dollar and a pickle to his name. Oh, what a shame.
John Beale stars as Dr. Ralph Sawyer, a physician in partnership with Edward Norris and Grady Sutton. Diana Wayne, as a patient, falls in love with Norris's character, only to learn that he pursues a secretive career as a mob doctor in league with gangster Douglas Fowling.
That's a bullet wound, Joe.
I'll have to make a police report.
Bullet wound. He got hurt changing a tire.
A violent climax arrives seemingly out of nowhere, barely justifying the lackluster buildup. The picture proved a transitional assignment between MGM and RKO.
No, he ain't beautiful. He's an evil critter, ma'am. You read your Bible, Revelation.
Jacques Tourneur's reassertion of mastery, Cat People mingles the attitude of a film noir, the sense of imminent doom, with a seemingly fanciful curse afflicting the lives of everyday people, with an essence of supernatural horror. Producer Val Lewton, working from his own ideas and a 1906 story by Algernon Blackwood, resisted the approach of most such attractions, the Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman formulas associated with Universal Pictures, in favor of workaday ordinariness and its response to an extravagant threat. Screenwriter DeWitt Bodine erred on the side of understatement, honoring Lewton's confidence in the power of the imagination. Tourneur's grasp would prove ideal. Simone carries the film as immigrant artist Irina Dubrovna, newly married and obsessed with the notion that she is descended from an ancient tribe whose members change into panthers when aroused. She becomes an ominous stalker when her husband, Oliver Reed, Kent Smith, begins to show interest in a co-worker. Assigned simply a conceptual title, Cat People, Lewton assembled Tourneur, editor Mark Robeson, and Bodine to consider possibilities for plotting. A sudden jump scare effect, a momentary hissing jolt that gives way to relief, was an invention of Robeson in the film cutting process. The device proved so effective that when repeated or imitated, it became known as a Lewton bus. The headlong pacing defines Tourneur as his most accomplished. Irina's gradual disclosure of her affliction catches all concerned off guard, particularly a psychiatrist, Louis Judd, Kent Smith, who develops a fatal attraction to Irina. A cryptic, shadow-driven climax and its resolution leave a residue of mystery while appearing to vindicate Irina's opinion.
She never lied to us.
The title derives from a popular craze for the true confession type of magazine article. Journalist Inez Walker had written the original piece for American Weekly magazine, describing her encounters with zombies on a plantation in Haiti. She referred not to any literally reanimated croakers, but rather to tribespeople who had been rendered servile and obedient by their rulers' infliction of illicit drugs. Such slave labor tactics had been documented in 1929 by explorer William Seabrook, whose book, The Magic Island, introduced the term zombie to general usage and inspired a 1931 Broadway play, itself called Zombie, and an influential movie of 1932, White Zombie. Val Lewton's new task for 1943 was to make the undignified title, I Walked with a Zombie, into something bankable, if not necessarily lofty.
Everything good dies here, even the stars.
Lewton assigned screenwriters Kurt Siodmak and Ardell Ray to research Haitian voodoo, fitting those cryptic superstitions into a reinterpretation of Charlotte Bronte's 1849 novel, Jane Eyre, the tale of a bewildered innocent at large amidst ominous goings-on. Siodmak envisioned a wife whose plantation owner husband has entrapped her in an unfeeling, perhaps zombified state.
She makes a beautiful zombie, doesn't she?
It's pitiful.
I knew Jessica. We were friends. Sometimes it's better for a doctor to laugh than pull a long face when things are hopeless.
Lewton and Ray refined the concept. Scarcely a coincidence that the shadowy underworld of the West Indies should reflect the criminal demimonde of film noir. Nurse Betsy Connell, played by Frances Dee, accepts the custodial care of Jessica Holland, Christine Gordon, wife of Paul Holland, Tom Conway, a plantation owner.
You didn't find your patient so frightening in the daylight, did you?
And Mrs. Holland must have been very beautiful.
Many people thought her beautiful. Tell me, Miss Connell, do you consider yourself pretty?
The general population descends from slaves. Jacques Tourneur strikes the first chord of menace at this reference, then deepens it with currents of tension between Paul Holland and his half-brother, Wesley Rand. Wesley's easygoing manner barely conceals a festering resentment.
I thought voodoo was something everyone was frightened of.
I'm afraid it's not very frightening. They sing and dance and carry on, and then, as I understand it, one of the gods comes down and speaks through one of the people.
For some reason, they always pick a night like this.
Jessica Holland prowls the grounds by night, bereft of speech and senses. Betsy seems torn between experimental medicine and voodoo as to a likely remedy. The predicament proves to stem from a history of slave racketeering. An ambiguous finale leaves the viewer to decide whether supernatural forces or random misfortune are responsible for the plight. Tourneur's sympathies with the plague-stricken Jessica Holland extend only so far, as the director frames her in a light of lurking evil.
Jessica? Jessica? She won't obey me.
Jessica!
Tourneur's greater interest seems to lie in an eerie zombie-like figure, played by the gaunt Darby Jones, as a more persuasive representation of the consequences of bigotry and exploitation. At this late stage, since 1943 that is, it's hardly a spoiler alert crisis to mention that Jacques Tourneur's filming of The Leopard Man is more a matter of homicidal mania than of supernatural depredation.
We know as little about the forces that move us and move the world around us as that empty ball does. About the water that pushes it into the air, lets it fall and catches it again.
The author, noir master Cornell Woolrich, had given away the game simply by titling his novel as Black Alibi, a matter of a serial murderer's strategy of arranging to have his crimes blamed upon an escaped leopard. In any event, no fatuous spoiler outcry can really diminish a story if the story has anything worthwhile to say in the first place. As well-matched as Tourneur and Woolrich were as storytellers, Tourneur is known to have disliked the result. Tourneur would describe The Leopard Man as, quote, neither fish nor fowl. It didn't hold together, unquote. He found the southwestern desert setting too exotic, as if a distraction from his preference for recognizably urban settings. Critics of the day were similarly uncharitable.
Why are you hurrying, Clo-Clo?
Oh, it's you, Baker.
Take a card, Clo-Clo. See what the night holds for you.
Your cards are a joke. I wouldn't give you 1 centavo.
One card, Clo-Clo.
Only in long hindsight has The Leopard Man gained regard as one of the first films to attempt a realistic portrayal of a serial murder from a psychological angle. Murder per se is stock in trade. The few early pictures to seek the point of view of the purposeful killer would include Fritz Lang's M from 1930, that forerunner of film noir, and The Leopard Man, although the various filmings of R.L. Stevenson's Jekyll and Hyde must bear consideration as well. Nightclub promoter Jerry Manning, Dennis O'Keefe, rinsed the use of a black leopard as a publicity stunt for his girlfriend, dancer Kiki Walker, Jean Brooks. Kiki upstages a rival, Margot Albert, who darts angrily at the cat, which escapes. The leopard stalks and kills a young girl at the doorway to her home, following a pursuit. The understated sequence was singled out by the novelist Robert Bloch as one of the most terrifying moments in cinema. Another slaying occurs within a cemetery. Manning senses that instinct should have driven the cat into the surrounding wilderness.
Caged animals are unpredictable. They're like frustrated human beings. I can't answer your question.
A local historian, Galbraith, James Bell, attempts to cast guilt upon the leopard's chronically drunken owner, Abnu Biberman. The rival dancer winds up slain after a fortune teller has warned her to beware of something black. Screenwriters Ardell Ray and Edward Dane darken the proceedings further with a ritual involving a reenactment of the Spanish conquest of the 16th century and its cult of penitentes, a lingering reminder of the Spanish Inquisition and its cruel influence. The grim historical background serves similarly as the specter of slavery in I Walked with a Zombie. Galbraith is revealed as the compulsive killer, having slain the leopard after its initial attack and planted clues suggesting its rampage. The murderer is shot dead by the fiancée of the cemetery victim. From a 1943 appraisal as half-baked and feeble by the New York Times curmudgeonly Bosley Crowther, The Leopard Man has attained a reputation of power and insight. The power derives largely from Turner's and camera chief Robert DeGrassi's incorporation of looming shadows, combined with a fatalistic current that nonetheless allows a favorable resolution for Jean Brooks and Dennis O'Keefe.
We were talking and he said that people were like that ball in the fountain at the hotel, that they get pushed around by things bigger than themselves. That's the way it was with us. Only we were too small to see it that way.
Jacques Tourneur's elevation from RKO's B picture unit to the top-of-the-line echelon comes with experiment Perilous, an influential period piece that transforms a romantic triangle into a struggle for one woman's release from a controlling husband. Margaret Carpenter's novel forms a sturdy basis for a screenplay by Warren Duff, embellished with a frenzied climax. Tourneur's handling amounts to a struggle between his cynical emphasis upon the villain of the piece and his compassion for the lovers thus afflicted. In 1903, Dr. Huntington Bailey, George Brent, learns of a strange married couple. Huntington's confidant, Olive Blakeney, turns up dead after visiting her brother, Nick Bederow, Albert Decker, and his tormented wife, Alida, Eddie Lamar.
First of all, I must tell you that I came here for quite another reason. Not the portrait. I came here but...
No, I didn't know that.
Bailey develops doubts about the husband's possessive behavior. Alida doubts her sanity. Bailey undertakes to free her.
Do you know why I pictured you with daisies? Because I love you.
The struggle culminates in a rousing battle complete with gushing water, broken glass from a network of aquariums, and an all-consuming fire. Betterow engineers his own death with his obsession for control. Bailey and Alida are allowed a safe and sound survival. Perhaps the most actionful of Tourneur's pictures, Experiment Perilous nonetheless allows the quiet desperation of Hedy Lamarr to fuel the determination of George Brent to rid her of a gaslighting monster.
You're mad, Nick. Completely mad. You know that?
Who knows which one of us is mad? Who said if any man had one moment of sanity, in that one moment he would take himself out of this world? But mad or not, I am a killer, of course. You know that.
Albert Dekker dominates the proceedings with as OCD a portrayal as he had delivered in a much more fantastic picture of 1939, Ernest B. Schudsack's Dr. Cyclops.
As you and your fellows develop toward normal size, you will again interfere with my work. And that is something which I cannot permit.
Ça, c'était mon anniversaire sur le plateau, à midi, avec le premier film de Kirk Douglas. Je l'avais vu très bien. Et un des premiers films de Bob Mitchum. Ça, c'est Jane Greer et Bob Mitchum. Un excellent caméraman qui s'appelle Nick Musuraka. Excellent.
Don't try to pay me off with pitch handed to you with this cheap piece of baggage. I was hoping you'd do this.
Reunited with cinematographer Nicholas Musuraka from Cat People, Jacques Tourneur delivered his most genuinely noir picture to date in Out of the Past. Replete with such idiomatic touchstones as a fatalistic flashback narrative, a classic femme fatale or lethal lady, and a collaborative, partially unbilled screenwriting crew, including source author Daniel Mainwaring, alias Jeffrey Holmes, and James M. Cain, better known for The Postman Always Rings Twice. The film had a proxy title in England, Build My Gallows High, after Mainwaring's novel.
Sit down.
Kathy's back in the fold now.
Tourneur pays close attention to mood development, achieving a realistic quality that provokes a consistent, compressed intensity from Robert Mitchum, Jane Greer, Kirk Douglas, and Paul Valentine.
A guy can't even get shot in his own apartment by a dame without the whole town starting to buzz like
you? Smoke a cigarette, Joe.
The influential critic James A.G. found Mitchum so sleepily self-confident with the women that when he slopes into clinches, you expect him to snore in their faces. Praised by faint damnation. The film noir designation was introduced in 1946 by a French critic, Nino Frank. Such films reflect a creeping, war-torn cynicism. Out of the Past stands as a prime example.
I opened an office in San Francisco. Cheap little rat hole that suited the work I did. Shabby jobs for who'd ever hire me. It was the bottom of the barrel, and I scraped it, but I didn't care. I had her.
Jeff Bailey, Robert Mitchum, runs a service station in Bridgeport, California. Mobster Joe Stefanos, Paul Valentine, recognizes Bailey as a private investigator named Markham who has reason to avoid gambler Whit Sterling, Kirk Douglas. Jeff's explanation to his fiancée, Ann Miller, Virginia Houston, triggers a flashback.
She must be quite a dame. A wild goose with 40 G's.
Sterling had been shot and wounded by his inamorata, Kathy Moffat, Jane Greer, who fled to Florida with a stolen $40,000. Sterling hired Jeff Markham and his partner Jack Fisher, Steve Brody, to locate her. Jeff, persuaded by her pretense of innocence, helped her to hide out. Kathy killed Fisher and abandoned Jeff, who assumed the false identity. Nick Mizuraka's great photographic invention for Out of the Past is the use of tobacco smoke, visually amplified to designate moods. As Roger Ebert once explained the tactic of throwing light into the empty space where the characters exhale, great white clouds of smoke express their energy levels, and hence the brooding hostilities.
I lost her. She's worth losing.
Simplicity and practicality define Mizuraka's approach. The great camera artist reflected the prevailing thought that heavy drama must be lighted in a low key. The style should be determined by the logic of the scene. Mizuraka's insistence upon deep shadow play and vivid contrast emphasizes a pervasive fear of death, even in the idyllic beauty of the Tahoe locations. Menace runs apace with hard-lighted scenic value as an assassin stalks Robert Mitchum. The ambiguity is terrifying.
Did you kill him? He slipped and fell. When I got there, it was too late. It's a mean river. He was trailing you? When you don't go fishing with a .45 in your hand.
What do you want?
Suppose we step over there. The view's sublime.
Circle of Danger, also known as White Heather, finds Tourneur at large in England, RKO's UK subsidiary, grappling with a flabby excuse for a misadventure.
You can't expect me to wear yashmak and hide every time I see another man, just because you and I like each other.
You know, who said I liked you? I'm not at all sure I do. But I love you, and you know it.
Philip MacDonald's screenplay seems more concerned with confronting American Ray Milland with as many quaint aspects of workaday British life as can be crammed into an hour and a half.
No, I suffer from hay fever. Could be that.
It's White Heather, isn't it? That's supposed to be lucky?
Yes, but not for me.
You know, I keep thinking this country is like some place I've been before. Then I find it isn't.
The basic point is a quest by Clay Douglas, Milland, to learn the facts in his brother's death during World War II. Chiefly distinguished by the presence of Hitchcock associate Joan Harrison as producer, Circle of Danger rallies to a semblance of peril during the last reel. It is an anomalous exception to the overriding strengths of Jacques Tourneur.
Well, got anything to say now?
Okay, sweetheart, here she comes.
Put it away, Red.
You still soft on Vanning?
Come on, finish tying them up, all of them.
You don't like me, do you?
No. That's about all I can take of you, Red.
Long dismissed as a relic of the fading days of the first film noir cycle, Nightfall bears discovering as a choice example of the idiom at any stage of development. The basis is a 1948 novel by David Goodis, one of those dime store Dostoevsky authors whose lurid paperback publications often obscured an intellectual depth of existential proportions. The film derives its opening momentum from a choice piece of music, the Peter DeRose, Charles Cuppett, Sam Lewis Nightfall, given a haunting interpretation by Al Hibbler. Hibbler was a jazz vocalist whom the critic Leonard Feather once characterized as the Boris Karloff of the blues.
Nightfall and you.
Sterling Siliphant's screenplay, dense with nightmarishly intermittent flashbacks and misperceptions of reality, shines like an arc-lighted cityscape under Burnett Guffey's penetrating camera work.
Better kill those bedroom lights.
I won't be able to see.
Pack in the dark.
Aldo Ray carries the picture as combat veteran Jim Vanning, a paranoid wanderer who may not be so paranoid after all. Insurance investigator Ben Fraser, James Gregory, is watching and edging closer.
What do you do for a living?
Research. I better be getting home. Wife think I stopped off to get a couple of shots. Thanks.
At a barroom, Vanning meets Marie Gardner, Anne Bancroft, and they compare notes about their misfortunes. Fraser knows that Vanning is a murder suspect, but Fraser's greater interest lies in an insurance bounty involving a stolen fortune. By now cordially acquainted, Vanning and Marie encounter two hoodlums, formidable performances from Brian Keith and Rudy Bond, who abduct Vanning after thanking her for distracting him.
You say he's too tough?
I'm not tough, I'm scared stiff.
Oh, now he's being funny. You want to drive, John? Let me sit back there with him?
Nah, you take it easy, Red. You hold on a little while, you can have your fun later.
Fun.
The tougher they are, the more fun they are. Tra-la.
A flashback reveals the source of Vanning's torments. On a hunting trip, he and a physician, Dr. Edward Gersten, Frank Albertson, had come to the aid of Keith and Bond's characters, John and Red, whose car had wrecked while they were fleeing the law. They carried a leather bag containing $350,000. Having killed Doc Gersten and left Vanning for dead, the Hoods mistakenly grabbed the doctor's medical kit. Vanning recovered and fled into the snowbound wilderness to hide the stolen loot, hence the present day's pursuit.
I'm always meeting the wrong man. It's a talent. Forming what the psychiatrists call doomed relationships.
Meaning me?
You won't quit.
The persistence of Nightfall is such that it registered as a telling influence upon a resurgent film noir idiom during the 1990s. Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction finds Bruce Willis essentially channeling Aldo Ray's portrayal, what with its contrasting elements of haplessness and resourcefulness. And the Coen brothers' production of Fargo, not to put too fine a point on things, makes much of a hidden fortune in cash, making no secret of the attitude of homage. Aldo Ray's tough but vulnerable presence is matched well with Brian Keith's display of malicious determination. The malice is cranked a notch by Rudy Bond's impulsive half-wit. Anne Bancroft proves herself an ideal noir leading lady with a performance handily the equal of her obsessive lethal lady of Howard Koch's The Girl in Black Stockings from 1957.
Maybe you've forgotten. Organized society has a department for your kind of complaint. Police.
Turner reinforces the noir style in part by defying its conventions. Its title aside, Nightfall achieves a higher state of desperation in snow-blinding brightness. Although the light at last prevails over the dark, the haunting quandary remains as to why such miseries must befall the innocents in the first place. Jacques Tourneur's return to the Val Lewton style of supernatural horror leans on a thoroughly English setting and a historic tale of a Gaelic haunting. M.R. James's Casting the Runes. The runes thus cast involve an ancient curse wielded by a scholarly antiquarian, Julian Carswell, now McGuinness, against anyone who might challenge his devilish activities. A cult commanded by Carswell is responsible for a series of slayings. Psychologist John Holden, Dana Andrews, investigates at his peril.
Let no arm be raised to defend him.
Defend me from what?
The shared presence of Tourneur and Dana Andrews makes Night of the Demon something of a companion piece to the following year's The Fearmakers. Different studios, different subject matter, but a common element of resourceful determination under lethal stresses.
From now on, the only voice you'll hear is that of Dr. Holden, you understand?
What do you mean by your time allowed?
To prepare for my death.
Why must you die?
I've been chosen.
Columbia producer Hal E. Chester clashed with the screenwriter, Charles Bennett, who owned the story rights, over whether the film should literalize its title menace. Just haul off and show the damned thing, that is. Tourneur, too, preferred subtlety in keeping with his Lewton background. Chester prevailed with an elaborate monster face, enraged with a wide-open scowl that, though mercifully brief, overstates the implicit horror of Carswell's runic curse. The monster grates against the brooding quality of the film at large. Its face is emblematic of Columbia Pictures' approach to B-movie horror, with a caricatured grimace that the studio had used repeatedly since the 1940s on various werewolf likenesses, ranging from a Three Stooges comedy, Idle Rumors,
No!
to a faux Dracula feature, Return of the Vampire, to as recently as Sam Katzman's production of The Werewolf.
Helen, these men have promised not to harm you.
The effect diminishes the film without ruining it. Jacques Tourneur maintained that he had nothing to do with the literalization of the demon, insisting the audience should never have been completely certain of having seen it. Ted Scheiff's prevailing understated camera work bears out the assertion. The overall visual style is jarringly contradicted by the appearance of a face like something out of a child's nightmare.
It's trying to escape.
It's just the wind.
Remember, Captain, you've had almost 2 years of Chinese prison camps. I don't need to tell you that brainwashing isn't just a word. Some of these symptoms will take time. The fatigue, the dizzy spells, the lapses of memory.
How long, Doctor?
A few weeks, a few months, maybe longer. It depends on you.
The Fearmakers would reunite Tourneur and Dana Andrews, who plays a public opinion executive who finds his company taken over by subversive elements.
Get up, you lady. Get up and show us how you wiped out that bunch of krauts. Come on, get up!
Elliot West and Chris Apley's screenplay from a 1945 novel by Darwin Telheit emphasizes the communist menace angle to an extent fashionable during the paranoid 1950s. Andrews' plight, enhanced by a backstory of war prisoner brainwashing, accounts for the suspense ably deployed by Tourneur. But the overall effect is one of formulaic decline for the director responsible for 2 of the great accomplishments of film noir, Out of the Past and Nightfall, in addition to his history of helping to define the Val Lewton style at RKO Radio Pictures.
You what?
So help me, you really will get a Purple Heart.
Sam Levitt's documentary-like photography is a far cry from the mood-building insinuations of Nicholas Musuraca. Irving Gertz's musical score is appropriate but desultory.
This is for Clark Baker and a lot of guys in Korea.
Jacques Tourneur had nowhere to go but up from The Fearmakers, a perfectly okay picture, however undistinguished. But he chose sidewise paths instead, into network television and such ill-matched feature assignments as The Giant of Marathon, 1959 with fellow director Mario Bava, the great visual stylist, and the Comedy of Terrors and War Gods of the Deep at American International Pictures.
Oh, how do you do?
And this is Mr. Harold Tufnell Jones.
You're wondering what I'm doing up here, aren't you? I'm not up here all the time. It's just that Herbert's been giving us a bit of a chase. Would you mind helping me down?
Jacques Tourneur died in 1977 in France, his noir master legacy intact despite an extended period of diminishing returns and deliberate obscurity. That legacy is such that the Tourneur approach, alongside the Val Lewton style, remains an essential element of study in graduate and postgraduate university film scholarship. At a time when the so-called new freedom of American filmmaking during the 1960s and 1970s was yielding to the over-obvious in terms of explicit violence and confrontational subject matter,
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
Tourneur's more delicately horrific touch was creeping back into cinema via such understated, low-key films as Herc Harvey's Carnival of Souls and Curtis Harrington's Night Tide. As Tourneur had accomplished with the swimming pool stalking sequence in Cat People, where an endangered character never sees but rather senses a menacing presence, such pictures arouse the viewer to a state of terror slowly and subtly. Tourneur achieved such primal terrors despite the imposing presence of an industry-wide censorship agency. His gift patently foreshadowed the new freedom with his subversive approach to depicting forbidden moments of peril. This character-driven approach persists in the film of Lewton protege Robert Wise, in Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 breakthrough with Psycho, and in the suspense-building approaches of Martin Scorsese. Scorsese's 2010 production of Shutter Island, the one about the detective unaware that he is his own quarry, echoes the Tourneur manner in its layers of foreboding and self-doubt, and in its effect of inviting the absorbed viewer to feel the misgivings of the protagonist. Jacques Tourneur is ever present. For Cinema Force, and until our next encounter, this is Mike Price.